Now to a bombshell fraud investigation. At least 14 employees for Chicago Public Schools have been accused of stealing tens of thousands of dollars in federal funds, all through the pandemic-era Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP, that was made to save businesses. That's according to a report by the CPS Inspector General. He joins us. Will Fletcher, Inspector General for Chicago Public Schools. Mr. Fletcher, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
You have been investigating this for months. We know 12 of these employees have resigned or been fired, with more on the way, most of them in leadership roles. How did all this come out? Did you get a tip? What can you tell us about the accused? Did they have these side hustles they purported to have? Did they scheme together? Can you kind of outline it for me?
Sure. Well, the names are on a publicly available list that was produced by the Small Business Administration through a FOIA request. And so what we did was we matched the names on that list with our employee list and found that there were a lot of matches. And from there, we sorted by salary. We figured out who the employees were with the most in the highest positions of trust and authority, and decided to prioritize those investigations and work our way down the list. There was no evidence that there was any kind of collusion among them. I think that they all just sort of took a shot at getting these PPP loans because, as you remember, there was a gold rush going on, essentially, where people were applying for these loans, and it was an $800 billion program. So there wasn't much thought to, I think the employees didn't consider that an FBI agent was going to come knocking on their door, but local agencies like mine started investigating, and that's what's had an impact.
Right. Gold rush at the beginning and not a lot of time to do due diligence. So we're talking, most of these employees were making good money. Some of them over $200K. The former CPS chief operation officer made $220,000 a year. Why risk your career for $15K? I also want to know, will these people still get their pensions?
So we haven't confirmed the identities of any of the individuals who we investigated, but we did mention in the report that I think 13 out of the 14 made over $100,000 a year in salary. And the question why, I think it had to do with, again, thinking that there was no way that they were ever going to be criminally prosecuted. And that calculation is likely correct, but I think that they didn't count on local oversight agencies like mine, the CPS Inspector General's office. There are other offices in the city and county doing the same types of investigations, and that just didn't factor into their calculations. The question of the pensions, I don't think that's going to touch the pensions, because in order for your pension to be revoked, you would need to be criminally, you would need to be convicted of a crime, and we don't think there are going to be very many prosecutions arising out of this at all, which makes it so much more important why we're doing these investigations.
Yeah. So, still on the public dole, some of them. We've uncovered PPP loan fraud in the past. The legwork following the paper trail is pretty grueling. It could take months to cover. A little over a dozen fraudsters here. Juxtapose that work to snag those. We're talking $200 billion in federal aid that was given out. Surely it's more far-reaching than CPS. Do you think there'll be more reports like this in the coming months, even years? This isn't your first rodeo as an inspector general. Do you think, I don't want to tip of the iceberg this thing, but is it the kind of tip of the iceberg maybe?
Gosh, I hope not. I hope it's not the tip of the iceberg. I hope we're farther down the track than that. But you're right. I mean, CPS is going to continue to hire people. All of these government agencies that you reported on are going to continue to hire people. And it's important that if you're vetting candidates who are going to be taking jobs in positions of trust, whether dealing with the agency's money, whether dealing with vendors and handling cash, then it's prudent, I think, for them to continue to vet whether or not those prospective candidates took out PPP loans, and if so, to investigate whether or not those loans were legitimate.
So what happens now to these people? Civilly liable, got to pay it back. Criminally liable, could go to jail. You say probably not. So if we have a high-ranking guy, makes $220,000, taxpayer-funded money, he says, yeah, I stole this money from the federal government. You say he might keep his pension, might not be criminally tried, might just have to pay it back? Is that how all that works?
I don't even think they're going to have to pay it back. I think that the only sanction, that the only remedy that we can really do at this point is to perform these investigations and make certain that people who have defrauded the government through PPP fraud no longer have employment in public agencies. That's really the only remedy that we have at this point. For the most part, I'm not saying that there aren't going to be any PPP criminal investigations, but it's my perception that the federal government isn't going to come to the rescue with a bunch of criminal prosecutions. They're not going to be looking to take the money back. A lot of these loans have already been forgiven. And so it's up to inspector generals and it's up to local oversight agencies to make certain that they're defending the integrity of the agencies that they work for by investigating these cases and making certain that people who've defrauded the government no longer have a place in public government.
That's fairly infuriating. So lastly, let's speak to culture. Nearly 6 years after a resignation, you're still uncovering fraud perpetrated by former CPS CEO Barbara Byrd Bennett. She steered millions to friends, sweetheart deals. She went to the Fed pen for it. Is there something larger here culturally within CPS happening, or are these just a lot of isolated, disparate incidents? But, you know, something seems to smell a little bit.
It's my impression that Barbara Byrd Bennett was a truly unique situation within CPS. She arrived here at the district with a lot of fanfare. She was brought in by Mayor Emanuel as a school turnaround superstar, and she was able to run roughshod over the procurement process. I don't think that there's anyone like that at CPS now. I'm not worried about that level of incalcitrance or being able to run roughshod over the processes that CPS has in place. I think that was an isolated case.
Okay.
But yeah, you're right. It was fairly infuriating.
Yeah, Mr. Fletcher, thank you. Will Fletcher, CPS Inspector General, thank you for your work and thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.